The 2010 NBA Draft was held on June 24, 2010, at the theater at Madison Square Garden in New York City, New York. The draft, which started at 7:00 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, was broadcast in the United States on ESPN. In this draft, National Basketball Association teams took turns selecting amateur U.S. college basketball players and other eligible players, including international players. This draft set a record with 5 players being drafted from the same school in the first round. The players were John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins, Patrick Patterson, Eric Bledsoe, and Daniel Orton, all from the University of Kentucky. This draft also marked the second time that an NBA D-League player was drafted, with the first case coming in 2008. The Washington Wizards, who won the draft lottery on May 18, 2010, used their first overall draft pick to draft John Wall from the University of Kentucky. The Philadelphia 76ers, who also beat the odds in the draft lottery to obtain the second pick, selected Evan Turner from Ohio State University. The New Jersey Nets, who had the worst win-loss record in the previous season, used the third pick to select Derek Favors from Georgia Institute of Technology. The 2010 NBA Draft is the last draft conducted at Madison Square Garden until 2014. The 2011 and 2012 NBA Drafts were temporarily moved to Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey, while the 2013 NBA Draft would be held at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York, as the Garden underwent renovations during those summers. Eligibility Rules. The basic eligibility rules for the draft are: all drafted players must be at least 19 years old during the calendar year of the draft. In terms of dates, players eligible for the 2010 draft must be born on or before December 31, 1991. Any player who is not an international player, as defined in the collective bargaining agreement between the league and its players' union, must be at least 1 year removed from the graduation of his high school class. The CBA defines international players as players who permanently resided outside the U.S. for 3 years prior to the draft, did not complete high school in the U.S., and have never enrolled at a U.S. college or university. The basic requirement for automatic eligibility for a U.S. player is the completion of his college eligibility. Players who meet the CBA definition of international players are automatically eligible if their 22nd birthday falls during or before the calendar year of the draft. U.S. players who were at least 1 year removed from their high school graduation and have played professionally with a team outside the NBA were also automatically eligible. Former high school player Latavius Williams meets these criteria, having graduated high school in 2009, skipped college basketball and then played professional basketball in NBA D-League. A player who is not automatically eligible must declare his eligibility for the draft by notifying the NBA offices in writing no later than 60 days before the draft. For the 2010 draft, this date fell on April 25. Under NCAA rules that take effect with this draft, they only had until May 8 to withdraw from the draft and maintain their college eligibility. Previously, players who declared for the draft could withdraw as late as 10 days before the draft and still maintain college eligibility. This year, a total of 80 collegiate players and 23 international players declared as early entry candidates. At the withdrawal deadline, 48 early entry candidates withdrew from the draft, leaving 50 collegiate players and 5 international players as the early entry candidates for the draft. A player who has hired an agent will forfeit his remaining college eligibility, regardless of whether he is drafted. Also, while the CBA allows a player to withdraw from the draft twice, the NCAA mandates that a player who is declared twice loses his college eligibility. This second provision affected Matt Koshal, Garni Laurel, and Patrick Patterson, all of whom declared for and withdrew from the 2009 draft. This draft was expected to see an unusual influx of underclassmen, even compared with recent years, for reasons explained by ESPN.com columnist Eamon Brennan in an April 2010 piece, Draft Lottery. The first 14 picks in the draft belonged to teams that had missed the playoffs. The order was determined through a lottery. The lottery determined the 3 teams that would obtain the first 3 picks on the draft. The remaining first-round picks and the second-round picks were assigned to teams in reverse order of their win-loss record in the previous season. As it is commonplace in the event of identical win-loss records, the NBA performed a random drawing to break the ties on April 16, 2010. The lottery was held on May 18, 2010 in Secaucus, New Jersey. The Washington Wizards and Philadelphia 76ers beat the statistical odds by winning the first and second overall picks respectively. The New Jersey Nets won the third overall pick. Below were the chances for each team to get specific picks in the 2010 draft lottery, rounded to 3 decimal places. A1, a New York Knicks pick was conveyed to the Utah Jazz via the Phoenix Suns. Draft selections. Trades involving draft picks. Pre-draft trades. Prior to the day of the draft, the following trades were made and resulted in exchanges of draft picks between the teams. A 1-2 on February 12, 2004, Utah acquired Tom Gagliota, New York's 2004 and 2010 first-round picks, a 2005 second-round pick and cash considerations from Phoenix in exchange for Keon Clark and Ben Handel-Ogden. Previously, Phoenix acquired Antonio McDermott, Howard Usley, Charlie Ward, Meshage Lamp, the draft rights to Milo Virginia, 2 first-round picks and cash considerations on January 5, 2004 from New York in exchange for Stephen Marbury, Penny Hardaway and Cesare Trubisky. B1-2 on February 18, 2010, Milwaukee acquired John Salmons, 2011 and 2012 second-round picks and the option to swap 2010 first-round picks from Chicago in exchange for Hakeem Warwick and Joe Alexander. The option to swap 2010 first-round picks was exercised, hence Milwaukee acquired Chicago's first-round pick and Chicago acquired Milwaukee's first-round pick. C. On June 25, 2009, Minnesota acquired Charlotte's first-round pick from Denver in exchange for the draft rights to T.Y. Lawson. Previously, Denver acquired a first-round pick on June 25, 2008 from Charlotte in exchange for the 20th pick in the 2008 draft. D1-2-3 on June 23, 2010, Oklahoma City acquired Daquan Cook and the 18th pick in the 2010 draft from Miami in exchange for the 32nd pick in the 2010 draft. Previously, Oklahoma City acquired Etan Thomas and 2 second-round picks on July 27, 2009 from Minnesota in exchange for Damian Wilkins and Chucky Atkins. Previously, Minnesota acquired a second-round pick and cash considerations on June 25, 2009 from Dallas in exchange for the draft rights to Nick Calathes. Previously, Dallas acquired a second-round pick, the 24th and 56th picks in the 2009 draft on June 24, 2009 from Portland in exchange for the 22nd pick in the 2009 draft. On July 9, 2007, Minnesota acquired Rodney Carney, Calvin Booth, Utah's first-round pick and cash considerations from Philadelphia in exchange for a conditional second-round pick. Previously, Philadelphia acquired Gordon Juriek and a first-round pick on December 29, 2007 from Utah in exchange for Kyle Korver. On August 7, 2009, Memphis acquired Stephen Hunter, a first-round pick and cash considerations from Denver in exchange for a conditional second-round pick. On July 20, 2007, Oklahoma City acquired Kurt Thomas, 2008 and 2010 first-round picks from Phoenix in exchange for a 2009 second-round pick. On February 19, 2008, New Jersey acquired Devin Harris, Trenton Hassel, Morris Ager, Tasagana Diop, Keith Van Horn, cash considerations, 2008 and 2010 first-round picks from Dallas in exchange for Jason Kidd, Antoine Wright and Malik Alon. I-1-2 on February 1, 2008. Memphis acquired Quayne Brown, Javaris Crittenton, Aaron Mackey, the draft rights to Marc Gasol, cash considerations, 2008 and 2010 first-round picks from LA Lakers in exchange for Pau Gasol and a second-round pick. On February 17, 2010, Washington acquired Angstrom 1/2 Adrian Zilgauskas, the draft rights to Emir Preld a 3/4 year and a first-round pick from Cleveland in a 3-team trade with Cleveland and the LA Clippers. K-1-2 on June 22, 2010, Milwaukee acquired Corey Maggott and the 44th pick in the 2010 draft from Golden State in exchange for Charlie Bell and Dan Gadzuric. Previously, Golden State acquired the 44th pick in the 2010 draft and cash considerations on June 21, 2010 from Portland in exchange for the 34th pick in the 2010 draft. Previously, Portland acquired 2009 and 2010 second-round picks from Chicago in a three-team trade on June 26, 2008. On February 18, 2010, Milwaukee acquired Primo three-quarters Brezek, Royal Ivy and a second-round pick from Philadelphia in exchange for Francisco Elson and Jody Meeks. M12 on July 28, 2008, New York acquired Taurean Green, Bobby Jones and a second-round pick from Denver in exchange for Ronaldo Bachman and cash considerations. Previously, the LA Clippers acquired Marcus Camby on July 15, 2008 from Denver in exchange for the option to swap 2010 second-round picks. The options to swap 2010 second-round picks was exercised, hence New York acquired LA Clippers' second-round pick via Denver and the LA Clippers acquired Denver's second-round pick. And on June 25, 2009, Miami acquired 2010 and 2012 second-round picks from New Orleans in exchange for the draft rights to Marcus Thornton. On June 13, 2009, Miami acquired Jermaine O'Neal, Jamario Moon, a future first-round pick and a 2010 second-round pick from Toronto in exchange for Sean Marion, Marcus Banks and cash considerations. On February 21, 2008. Minnesota acquired Kirk Snyder, a second-round pick and cash considerations from Houston in exchange for Gerald Green. On December 10, 2008, Phoenix acquired Jason Richardson, Jar Dudley and a second-round pick from Charlotte in exchange for Raja Bell, Boris Diaw and Sean Singletary. On June 25, 2009, Dallas acquired the draft rights to Rodrigue Bebois and a second-round pick from Oklahoma City in exchange for the draft rights to Byron Mullens. On December 29, 2009, Minnesota acquired Orlando Tucker, a second-round pick and cash considerations from Phoenix in exchange for Jason Hart. On October 10, 2008, Indiana acquired Eddie Jones, cash considerations, 2009 and 2010 second-round picks from Dallas in exchange for Sean Williams. On June 25, 2009, Phoenix acquired Ben Wallace, Alexander Pavlovia, a second-round pick and cash considerations from Cleveland in exchange for Shaquille O'Neal. Draft day trades. The following trades involving drafted players were made on the day of the draft. 1-2-3 Oklahoma City acquired Morris Peterson and the draft rights to 11th pick Cole Aldrich from New Orleans in exchange for the draft rights to 21st pick Craig Brackens and 26th pick Quincy Pondexter. The trade was finalized on July 8, 2010, after the new salary cap went into effect and the league moratorium period concluded. Portland acquired Ryan Gomez and the draft rights to 16th pick Luke Babbitt from Minnesota in exchange for Martell Webster. Washington acquired Kirk Hinrich, the draft rights to 17th pick Kevin Serafin and cash considerations from Chicago in exchange for the draft rights to Vladimir Veremenko. The trade was finalized on July 8, 2010, after the new salary cap went into effect and the league moratorium period concluded. The LA Clippers acquired the draft rights to 18th pick Eric Bledsoe from Oklahoma City in exchange for a future conditional first-round pick. 1-2-3-4 Washington acquired the draft rights to 23rd pick Trevor Booker and 56th pick Hamady Ndiaye from Minnesota in exchange for the draft rights to 30th pick Lazar Hayward and 35th pick Nemanja Bjelica. 1-2-3 New Jersey acquired the draft rights to 24th pick Damon James from Atlanta in exchange for the draft rights to 27th pick Jordan Crawford and 31st pick Tyber Plyé. Dallas acquired the draft rights to 25th pick Dominique Jones from Memphis Grizzlies in exchange for cash considerations. Oklahoma City acquired the draft rights to 31st pick Tyber Plyé from Atlanta in exchange for cash considerations. New York acquired the draft rights to 44th pick Jerome Jordan from Milwaukee in exchange for cash considerations. The trade was finalized on July 8, 2010. Oklahoma City acquired the draft rights to 48th pick Latavius Williams from Miami in exchange for a future second-round pick. Toronto acquired the draft rights to 50th pick Solomon Alabi from Miami in exchange for a 2013 conditional second-round pick and cash considerations. L12 Indiana acquired the draft rights to 51st pick Magnum Roll from Oklahoma City in exchange for the draft rights to 57th pick Ryan Reed and cash considerations. Notable undrafted players, these players were not selected in the 2010 NBA Draft. References, General. Specific. External links, NBA.com, Draft 2010 at the Wayback Machine, 2010 NBA Draft ESPN.